I'd like to call to order the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting for November 29th, 2018. Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Boroff? Here. Mrs. Brody?
Here.
Dr. Clancy?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mrs. Soriani?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kulikowski?
Here.
Mrs. Bauer?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please join us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met in executive session and we discussed personnel, HIBs, suspensions and detentions, legal issues, and notice of this meeting was sent to the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, and also to the Times. I think we have just one addition, that's what I have, 8BUS to the agenda. Okay. We have two updates tonight. So we have one very special, they're both special, one that's very exciting because we have students here tonight that we want to recognize. But first we're going to start with something that's important, and that's our auditor who is here, Ms. Kathy Mantell from Nishnawsky. Thank you. I always have a mental block about how to pronounce that. And so we would appreciate it if you would give a summary for the public, please.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here tonight. Just had a little update with the Finance Committee, and now we'd like to convey this information to the board. We are very thrilled to be a part of this school district and serve as the auditor, and at the end of my presentation, I will tell you why that is. Gave you an overview of the financials. The audit's about 180 pages, and I think this year it's going to expand by 10 to 20 pages. So to read through that much information, I can give you the highlights in 3 pages. The general fund of the district is the operating fund, and you can see at the top of the page, of the first page of the little synopsis I made for you, is that the fund balances of the district were increased by $1.3 million for the year. You can see that the encumbrances rose, and that was due to capital outlay projects that were in purchase orders at the end of the year, and the work was done over the summer. The capital reserve had a reduction, and that was due to withdrawal for certain capital projects, which you'll see a little bit later in the report. The things that caused the $1.3 million increase is naturally when you have more revenue than you had anticipated, and typically you have a little bit in local revenue, so that was $300,000. The excess state revenue, we're forced to enter certain numbers into the report, so that's why I show you how you reconcile to what is real. So on the right side of the page, you'll see that the additional state aid is $1.3 million. That's extraordinary aid and non-public aid that is awarded late in the year, and the district has typically and is permitted to anticipate that money in the subsequent year. The biggest trigger that builds your surplus in a year is how much you spend or don't spend from your budget. So when you prepare your budget, you budget what you anticipate, and then it's done so far in advance that different things change over time, and expenses are monitored by the business office to ensure that you're able to regenerate some money, because the district's in the habit of anticipating surplus in the budget, so you want that there every year. At the end of the year, there was $4 million left over, which is about 4% of the budget. So it's really not a big margin, and it's what helps you to perpetuate into the future. Again, during the year, you used $1 million of surplus, you paid out the prior year encumbrances, you anticipated the additional extraordinary aid from last year, and you withdrew money from the capital reserve for projects. So after all of that, you were able to be up by $1.3 million, and that's a very good thing. That's good fiscal responsibility. So on the second page of my report, if anybody has any questions, just give me the sign. I show you the changes in the capital reserve and the maintenance reserve during the year. And so each of those accounts earns interest. There was a deposit into the capital reserve of $3.5 million during the year. Whenever money is withdrawn from a project and it's not spent in its entirety, it is returned to the capital reserve account. So you'll see 127 and 72 coming in from projects that came in under budget. And then the withdrawal by board resolution was $5.3 million for current year projects. So at the end of the year, capital reserve was $5 million, maintenance reserve was $2,355,000. Question?
Amy, you had a question?
No, I was just going to ask if we could get copies of the report.
You'll get a copy of the full audit.
The audit's not, she didn't say in the beginning that the audit is not.
Right, I say that
it's
at the end.
complete, but it's not officially complete.
Okay.
Because the state didn't give all the information that they have to give that has to be in the report. So it doesn't affect the final, but like the normal books and everything, the things that we get, we don't have yet. But I think she's going to say that.
I will. So then the next section of information that I think is important to the board members is the Capital Projects Fund. That's Fund 30. That's different projects that you authorize from Capital Reserve that are recorded in the Capital Projects Fund. You have the middle school stage and light project, $575,000 left in that project at the end of the year. Evergreen Elementary School windows, 157. Coles Elementary windows, 87. So that's a total of $820,000 that wasn't spent as of June 30th, but there were purchase orders placed against that for $805. So you almost essentially finished your projects that just weren't paid out as of June 30th. And then the last bit of information that I cover is the long-term liabilities of the district, and it's always been important to know how many bonds the district had outstanding. At the end of the year, you have a little over $5.4 million. Each year, you authorize capital leases and you pay them down. So at the end of the year, you had about $950,000 in leases. Compensated absences will be paid out when employees retire from the district. That was $1.4 million. There are bond premiums associated with the bonds that were issued. They'll be retired at the same rate that the bonds are retired. And then for 4 years, we've been reporting the net pension liability. That was dictated by an accounting standard called GASB 68. We've had issues over the past 4 years getting the information from Division of Pensions on that, but in 4 years, they've gotten a little bit better. And now there's another standard that's required for this June 30th fiscal year, and that's GASB 75, and that's post-retirement benefits for TPAF and PERS. And as your board president explained, and we explained in finance, is that those numbers were supposed to be released, we were told, at the earliest November 15th. Today is the 29th, and 2 days ago, we got the word that Division of Pensions said they won't have the information until early next year, which creates a problem because the audits of school districts are due on December 5th. So with the delay of November 15th, the Department of Education said, okay, we can't extend that statutory due date, but what we can do is we won't do anything or, have any sanctions on a district that files their audit by December 21st. December 21st is a trigger date for the Department of Ed because that's when they start their download, upload of information from an electronic financial report called the Odd Sum. And so again, our staff prepares that. There's some information that has to be input by the district itself, and then it's certified by us and by the district, and that needs to be done by the 21st. So right now, it's sitting in a quandary at the state where pension's saying they won't have the information available, and the state DOE has to decide if we can issue the reports with qualification, saying that it meets all the standards, but there's an omission of information because it's not available. They didn't want to have to do that, but now we're like, at the end of the road. Somebody's got to make a decision, and we're not allowed to make it. We just have to follow their decision. So, yes, typically by the time we come and present the audit's delivered in books, and you have the time to review that. So the information that I conveyed to you tonight is the operating results of the district. It's the budgetary basis. It will not change. The only thing that's going to get added is some long-term liability for post-retirement medical benefits.
But therefore, we're
pays
not
out
going to
of
be
the-
voting on it tonight.
Okay.
So everybody has a chance to see it.
Absolutely. We'll get that to you as there's a draft that we issued, and the final report will then again be sent over for approval before we finalize it, and then the business office or the business administrator will submit it to the board for approval. And then on the copy of the 3-page report that I provided to you, I made a mistake. And so for the audit comments, originally, you changed the operation of your food service during the year. You pulled out of the federal program. And so at the end of the year, there's a net cash resource calculation, and you were over that. And Debbie reminded me that you were out of the National Food Service Program, and when we went back and checked it out, you're fine. That's not a recommendation. But what we did discuss is we found 1 or 2 reimbursements where, yes, the board could, or the finance committee can explain that, where finite details of the costs were not there so that we could ascertain that it was within the limits that
On a couple of travel reports.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and say, we all do this. We go online, we book travel, you book your flight, you book your hotel, you do it on Expedia. They wrap everything together. In order for us to do our audit, we need to have those costs segregated. So it's really not an issue. I didn't even think it was something that should make the report, but we decided we would put it in there, and I believe the situation's already been addressed. And if I can conclude, I would say, I enjoy working in the school districts. It's an exemplary school district from a financial point of view. Everything is ready for us. The business office, everybody in that office is very cooperative with us, and you can see the dedication and the desire to do the right thing, get all the information, and it's really a pleasure for me. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you have any questions, please feel free, and when the draft comes out, you can have Debbie talk to us about it, and we'll answer any question you have.
And if there are any comments from the Finance Committee? We do meet with the auditor separately without any of the business office present, so that we can make sure that we're getting, a complete report. So we did do that tonight as well.
Yeah, I would just add, the one recommendation was, you went through, was in this one area of travel expenses and how they were itemized for a couple of individuals. That was it for the entire audit. And I would also say that we all, in our time alone, we also asked questions, and I feel very confident in the scrupulous, ethical nature of our staff and of our finances, and that's very important to us as a
Important
board.
and comforting.
So I appreciate Debbie, Mrs. Saradaki, and her staff for working at the highest level for our district.
And that's a very important point, because it's a financial statement audit, but it's also a compliance audit. And it's a compliant audit for the federal and state grants that you receive, and it's also a compliance requirement for all these regulations that were prescribed by the Department of Education, such as travel regulations. So it's intense. There's a lot of things, a lot of hoops to jump through, and you really do a fantastic job. Everybody should take the kudos. Excellent.
Thank you. And we're sorry that they and you will have all this last-minute rush to try and put all this information in to be able to complete it. It's too bad that it didn't happen in a timely fashion, so we'll give you our sympathy ahead of time for having to do that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So now we move on to our instructional update, which is a chance to recognize our high school varsity girls soccer team. And one of our board members is going to read a resolution that we have. So she's going to go to the microphone, and you want to have them come stand up here?
Sure,
so that-
I would love to. So if we could have our girls soccer team come forward and just stand right up in the front here.
We want you on camera.
Along with your coaches. And I'd just like to say, as they're coming up, it's always a wonderful night when we can recognize our student athletes. And tonight, we are really proud of how our girls soccer team has had, again, another outstanding season. You may note quickly that when the season started, one of the main storylines was that it could be a bit easier this year to defeat the Raiders because many of our students that were seniors last year had moved on. But when we came together as a soccer team and you came together under the leadership of Coach Ewing, in less than 6 weeks, you were transformed into, once again, a powerhouse, and you've been able to achieve your 9th straight county championship. That is amazing. A number of your teammates are down in North Carolina because their club soccer teams are having college showcases this weekend. But nevertheless, we're proud of each and every one of you for your work and perseverance and for the camaraderie and good sportsmanship that you demonstrate on and off the field. And special kudos go to our coaches. In addition to Kevin Ewing, we have assistant coach Matt Tiedemann, we have Lauren Maines and Joe Higgins, and all of you work so collaboratively to make sure that the young ladies in front of you excel on the field and you support their personal development as well. So we'd like to truly thank you for all of your good work, and special thanks to the parents who continue to cheer you on. They lift your spirits when you're on those rare occasions when the team doesn't win, but they cheer louder than anybody else when your team comes through. And we are so proud of each and every one of you for the passion for your sport, and because each of you in turn is a remarkable young woman. So with that, I'm going to turn it over for the reading of the resolution.
Whereas the 2018 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School varsity girls soccer team achieved an impressive soccer record of 14 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. And whereas this varsity girls soccer team continued the tradition of being one of the top teams in Union County and the state of New Jersey. And whereas on October 26, 2018, the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School varsity girls soccer team competed in the Union County Championship against Cranford High School at Kean University in Union, New Jersey. Scotch Plains Fanwood played 80 minutes of soccer, shutting out Cranford 2-0, and thereby earning the program's ninth consecutive county title and the 13th of the past 14 years. And whereas the girls soccer team advanced to the semifinals of the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association sectional tournament, and whereas the 2018 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School varsity girls soccer team consists of the following players: Gabrielle Allo, Celeste Blanks, Devin Danielovich, Stephanie DeVizio, Sarah Dill, Alexa Fazio, Michaela Genti, Abigail Hanvey, Maya Kessler, Brooke Clerman, Leah Clerman, Ashley Lancaster, Rebecca Lancaster, Elizabeth Lay, Corinne Light, Amy Magrino, Holly Nelson, Faith Price, Juliana Scarcella, Rachel Stosh, Jessica Stram, Maya Sutherland, Maggie Traina, Georgiana Vaca, and Jamie Valian. Whereas the 2018 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School varsity girls soccer team, directed by head coach Kevin Ewing and assistant varsity coach Matt Tiedemann, assisted by junior varsity coach Lauren Maines and freshman coach Joe Higgins, exhibited outstanding talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout the season. And whereas this team received recognition by students, staff, and the Scotch Plains and Fanwood communities for their outstanding efforts and achievements. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and congratulates the 2018 varsity girls soccer team and their coaches for an outstanding season of soccer and extends to them best wishes for continued success.
Able to invite Mr. Ewing if he wants to say a few words while the girls are here. Girls, before you sit down, Mr. Ewing, would you like to say a few words? Right, and Ryan's here. Need a second.
Well, first, I'd like to thank Dr. Hayes and Dr. Mass and the Board of Ed for honoring the girls here tonight. Obviously, we don't have everyone here. We were a very young team this year, so the girls worked very hard all season. Every practice, every game, they were a pleasure to coach. They're great student athletes. They're excellent on the field and even better in the classroom, so I'm very proud to be their coach. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but you're welcome to.
Good evening. Thank you very much. This was a pleasure this year. Starting off the season, it was Coach Ewing came to me and said we may want to look at the schedule a little differently than what we're used to because we already play a very tough schedule just in our own county, and we wanted to make sure that we built the team in the right direction so that they can continue their success. So I was calling teams, and no one wants to play us, ever. They laughed at me. I said, this might be the year, and I was trying to sell it, and it didn't work. But we picked up some great teams, and we came together. What I was really proud about, I was asked by the county executives what I thought about our county final. They said, you're going up against Cranford. Cranford's been dominating everybody in the county. And I said, I'm going to take our coaching staff and our program and then the 8 straight that we have. And I'm going to take our experience over the talent that may be on the other side of the field. So congratulations for proving us right. Coach Ewing, Coach Tiedemann, it was an incredible job this year. And thanks to everyone for recognizing us.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. 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 That's awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations. So awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and take the list to resolutions. Thank you so much. Thank you. So impressive. Congratulations, it's wonderful. Very impressive. Congratulations. So impressive. Congratulations. Very impressive.
Congratulations. And I'd like to thank Dr. Heisey for being out there in the audience to support the team as well. Thank you for coming.
And there are some refreshments outside, so you can celebrate a little bit outside and mingle. And thank you for coming tonight and giving us a chance to recognize your achievement. Oh, yes, we need to make it official.
Yes, we need a second.
So, Mrs. Williams moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Tell them it was unanimous, Ryan. Okay, so in accordance with Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools bylaws 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for public comment. We ask that if you come to the microphone that you give us your name and the town in which you reside, and you will have 2 minutes. Okay, seeing no one, there are other opportunities. So we'll move on to committee reports. So who would like to go first? I know we have several.
I
my curriculum. You want that?
I'll go first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, let's just go around then. We'll start and we'll
Okay.
go around. Ms. Brody?
On November 13th, we had our second community relations meeting. It was basically a continuation of developing more detail for a plan moving forward using the resources that we currently have. We're working on short-term and long-term goals. We explored procedures to communicate with the staff regarding acknowledgements of celebrations. We are identifying a process for the Board of Ed members to be more present at events, showing support for our school community. This currently includes events that were within the school, and the next step is events out beyond the school. And when we do that, we'll have name tags. So we're, little by little, we're working on doing what we can for right now. Excuse me. Did you send out that report? I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
it was a while ago.
Yeah. And the next meeting we haven't set yet.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Siriani? Oh,
I'm actually, finance is,
Okay.
I'm going to yield the floor.
We
to
had a
my
joint meeting.
esteemed colleague.
okay, Mrs. Siriani.
Same agenda.
Same agenda.
Okay, the Facilities and Finance Committees met on November 5th and had a few things on our agenda. We discussed the fact that now that the high school lockdown emergency notification system is fully operational, we are moving forward with other school installations. The visitor vestibules, I'm sure this is obvious to a lot of people who are in the high school, but the visitor vestibules are installed now. Those of us who are not in the high school on a everyday basis, we're able to see pictures of it. And the alarm company will shortly be installing the buzzer system. I don't know if that happened yet. Okay. As far as the lighting and sound systems in Park and Terrell auditoriums, the Park auditorium is complete. The installation at Terrell should be complete shortly. It's
done.
It is complete, okay. We met 3 weeks ago, so it is now completed. And the board is being asked to approve the purchase of a locking AV desk to install in the back of the auditorium. This would also be able to be used for instructional purposes and involve students in the operation of the light and sound systems. So I believe that's on the agenda.
No, I don't think you need to approve that. I just wanted to make
We
you aware
just
of
discussed it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. And the money for this purchase would be coming from the 2017-18 Excess Extraordinary Aid Fund. Okay. Our committees and the business administrator are beginning to discuss what projects we're going to focus on in the summer. I think everybody's aware that summer is an active time in the school system for getting projects completed. So far what we've discussed are the Brunner Gym must be repaired. The cost of this project is $250,000. The remaining visitor vestibules will be worked on and will be costing up to $1 million. Other projects discussed may involve window replacement at School 1, masonry repair at Park Middle School. There are also remaining AC installation projects, and the committees will be discussing what we should prioritize and what is feasible within our budget for the summer. Also at the November 5th meeting, Assistant Principal of Athletics Ryan Miller came to present to the committee the need to replace the two turf fields, and provided information on the cost and feasibility of moving forward on lighting the fields. The cost of replacing the turf fields, track, fencing, and creating ADA access on the fields will be $1.4 million. We also discussed that the district's facility use rental charges have not been updated since 2009, so Mrs. Saradaki provided the committee with proposed increased rates. And that is it. Our next meeting is Monday, December 10th.
Okay. Yep, Dr. Kulikowski.
Okay, for curricula, we talked with Supervisor K-12 through Science, ITE, and Family Consumer Science, Gita Faria, and we discussed Family and Consumer Science from the high school. The curriculum focuses on foods, And the revised proficiencies reflect the updated standards in the course called The Introduction to Foods, where students learn about food production, food science, dietetic nutrition, and wellness. Also, proficiencies were presented for a new course called Advanced Foods. In Advanced Foods, the students continue to develop food preparation techniques and cooking skills, as well as the opportunity to research various career opportunities within the food industry. Next, we talked about information technology, which is for the 7th grade. The new curriculum focuses on the design process where students engage in the cycle ask, imagine, plan, create, test, and improve. There are 3 new units of study that were developed that include short-term engineering tasks, rubber band cars, and sustainable development goals. Next, the district K-12 science department completed an audit of all the proficiencies with updated course numbers, prerequisites, and included intentional focus on technology and career standards. Also, the proficiencies for grades 4 and 5 now reflect the new curriculum adoption and the next generation science standards. Last on our agenda was the chemical hygiene plan revisions that were discussed for the high school. Thank you, and I appreciate the talking points that were provided to me.
Are there comments and questions? I should have said it after each one, because I'm sure any of the board members reporting would be happy to answer questions.
Can I ask, what's chemical hygiene?
Chemical hygiene is that, there's chemicals used in chemistry, and so things aren't just poured down the drain, that they are kept within the expiration date, taken out when they're older, disposed of safely and properly, stored, things like that. So that all the things, there's a teacher that is responsible to set up the chemistry lab, to break it down, dispose of, request and order new supplies as needed, etc.
And they're shared among schools. It's an interesting plan.
Any other questions? Okay, I think that's all our, okay.
Shared services.
Oh, shared services, that's right.
So the Shared Services Committee met on November 8th. The police gave us a few updates on things they were up to at Park and at Terrell. They're going to run the Cops and Kids program again. It'll be 2 sessions at each school, February 13th and March 13th at Park, and February 26th and March 26th at Terrell. They said that it went really well last year. The police certainly had a lot of fun playing with the kids. It sounds like it went really well. In August, they went over active shooter drills at the high school before everyone was back in session again. October 15th, they did a hidden in plain sight presentation at the high school. They said there was low attendance, only about maybe 11 people actually came to see it, which is really kind of sad, because I know people who have seen it have said that it's an excellent presentation. I don't know what else was going on that night, but I assume there were plenty of other things, and that's maybe why. But they did the same presentation on October 18th at Union Catholic. They said there were approximately 80 people in attendance there, so that's good. Whichever school they go to, that parents are catching it. They did the safety bug impaired driving simulation at the high school. November 12th was the Raiders Don't Risk It distracted driving crash simulation all day at the high school, where the students come with their health classes, and DECA is involved in running and planning that and organizing it, where they simulated a crash and a response to the crash, the emergency response, and that always is very very emotional, I think, for a lot of people, but it certainly sends the message home. Computer training for senior citizens is likely going to get better attendance if the students go to the seniors instead of the seniors coming to the high school for that. I think Debbie is still working that out with...
Margaret's Margaret Heisey is handling.
Yeah, Margaret Heisey is handling that, I think, with Dr. Heisey. Senior Cafe Day doesn't affect the schools, but it's the most successful, it is one of the most successful new programs in Union County. It's open to all seniors in the county, provides low-cost, nutritious meals and socialization time. It meets at Shady Rest on Tuesdays. Coordination of emergency management. Dennis Nada, who is the emergency manager for Scotch Plains, spoke with us for some time. He talked about 4 categories of emergency management or mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And that with each of our municipalities, what each of our municipalities does to mitigate emergencies will impact the other municipality. For example, shelters would take people from, whether the shelter's in Fanwood or in Scotch Plains, it will take people from either community in the event of an emergency. Looking to find a point of distribution for medications, for inoculations, things like this, something that would serve both municipalities. In the case of an emergency, someone's in need of medication or whatever, there should be a point somewhere that people can go to be able to receive things in the event that pharmacies are shut down and things like that. He talked about how there's a need for us to send out a single message to the residents, not different messages to the Scotch Plains residents than the Fanwood residents, because obviously everything is going to affect, if it affects the one municipality, it will affect the other. And it'd be good to all be on the same page on some level. There's already a lot of that communication that goes on, which is wonderful. Each mayor is entitled to appoint an emergency management coordinator. In Scotch Plains, this is Dennis Nada, who came and spoke with us at the meeting. In Fanwood, this is Chief Trigo really does this job, but because he lives outside of Fanwood by like a few blocks, the official designation is someone else. I want to say he said it was the fire chief, but I can't swear that. But they do work together on that, and he is involved in that as he is the chief of police. And it is important for him to be up on that, so he is. Dennis Nada suggested that we should set up a local emergency planning committee with both the emergency management coordinators to work together. There are about 5 collaborations like that within the state, where there's more than one municipality working together on emergency management. So it's been done in other communities, and our communities are so tight that it really shouldn't. It already happens on certain levels. FEMA's tightened up how it reimburses for emergency management, so it's important for us to have all of our memorandums of agreement and memorandums of understanding in place, especially with the schools, in cases like FEMA reimbursements and things like that. If those things aren't really in place, we may not ever see reimbursements on things. Police, fire, and rescue squads will meet with Dennis Nada, at least this was how we left it at the meeting, they may have already done this, to discuss, and then they'll bring the Board of Ed into the discussions once they're all on the same page. And then it came up, our Jersey Professional Management annual contract renewal. The costs are the same as last year, plus they are including a $100 increase for each of the 3 entities, since there hasn't been one in some time, which brings each of us to a total of $7,350 for their services for the year. Our next meeting will be January 17th.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions for Mrs. Winkler? Okay. Then that brings us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Tonight, 1S, there are no out-of-district placements to approve. It's a good thing.
Exciting.
2S, I would ask that the board affirm the superintendent's decisions in the 3 HIB cases that were reported in October, on October 11th and October 18th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
I need to abstain
A bit, okay,
from October 18th.
okay.
And I need to abstain from October 11th.
I need to abstain from both.
Wait a minute. 10/18.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Deb Brody.
Opposed?
Deb Brody is 18.
And we have the abstentions.
Both, yeah.
Okay.
Was the 11th?
And I was both, yeah.
All right. 3S, I would like the board to approve the following field trips. The AP French and French 4 classes would like to attend the theater workshop at Summit High School on December 7th. The high school chamber choir has been invited to perform at the New Jersey Music Educators Association in East Brunswick on February 21st. High school Italian 10th graders want to visit the Italian American Museum and have lunch at Danico Restaurant in New York City. They didn't invite me. I'm sad. The high school Italian 9th graders are going to visit the Queen's Theater in the park that's located in Corona, New York. They don't have a specific date yet, but they would like the trip approved so that they can organize it. It'll be in March. The Moonglowers will be attending a professional jazz playing event in a live setting in New York City. The exact date has not yet been confirmed, but they need to have approval so that they can move forward with purchasing the tickets. The available dates are between December of 18 and May of 19. And the high school wind ensemble will perform and compete in the Central Jersey Music Educators Concert Band Festival that will be held on March 19th at Summit High School.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. 4S, I would like the board to approve the district goals for 2018-19. This is part of our strategic plan process. We presented them on October 18th at a public board meeting, and we're asking for your approval this evening.
Second.
Any questions, comments? I know people had a lot of time to look them over. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Opposed?
Okay.
Stephanie.
5S, I would like the board to approve the science curriculum proficiencies as listed on the agenda. There's a lengthy list of them. I'll try to summarize. We have the kindergarten science proficiencies as well as the science proficiencies for grades 1 through 8, anatomy and physiology, astronomy, Bio 1, Bio 2 AP, Chemistry, Chemistry 2 AP, Environmental Science AP, Forensic Science, Nutrition Science, Physics 1, Physics 2 AP, Zoology and Animal Behavior, Industrial Technology Ed, Introduction to Foods and Advanced Foods, as well as the approval of our chemical hygiene plan as discussed in the Curriculum Committee report.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Soriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, tonight, I would ask that the board approve the personnel report as reviewed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Saradaki, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Soriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Okay, so before we move on to the business functions, we have the opportunity for anyone from the public to come to the microphone. If you do, please give us your name, the town in which you reside, and you have 2 minutes. Okay, so seeing no one, Mrs. Sardaki, we'll move on to the business functions.
Yes, I'd like to group these if there's no problem with that. 1 BUS, I'm asking for the approval of staff training on the superintendent's reports dated November 15th and November 29th, 2018. 2 BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge receipt of various disbursement listings for the month of October 2018. 3 BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge receipt of the district school security and fire drill reports for the month of October 2018. 4 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve various private vendors for related services in 2018-19. This is with Edu Healthcare for school psychologist, Stepping Forward for therapeutic counseling services, First Children for BCBA and ABA services, and Summit Speech for audiological services. 5 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the facilities agreement with Behavior Therapy Associates. That they run the High Step program at Coles Elementary School. They've been doing that for several years during the summer. 6B, you should have received a copy of the contract. We did increase the price 2%. 6 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the acceptance of funds in the amount of $12,900 from the Margaret and Peter Chang Foundation for a 2018-19 program to enhance and develop life skills in third grade students. 7 BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge receipt of the 2019-20 budget assumptions and guidelines as presented. 8 BUS, we have project proposals from Potter Architects for work to be done next summer. We have the track at the high school, the turf field at the high school, and windows at School 1. And you see the total for all three there is $219,000. That's the cost of his work involved in these projects. We may see a reduction in the track if we're able to find the co-op provider of the track, in which case there wouldn't be a need to bid the project. 9 BUS, I'm asking for the approval of Brianna McDonald-Vitale as the Assistant Director for the Terrell Musical, and that position is paid from ticket proceeds. 10 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the board meeting change for December due to CUSAC reporting deadline. Originally, the meeting was scheduled for December 20th, and to meet the reporting deadlines, we'd be moving that meeting to Wednesday, December 12th. 11 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve a special education settlement agreement in the amount of $4,000 for compensatory claims, reports, and services. Employment settlement agreement is 12 BUS. I'm asking the board to approve the mediated employee settlement agreement between an employee and the district, whereby the employee receives an additional year of employment credit and retroactive pay for October 12th, 16 through June 30th, 17. 13 BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge receipt of the board secretary's report, the treasurer of school fund reports, and budget adjustments. 14 BUS, I'd like the board's approval of the bills for the period October 13th, 2018 to November 21st, 2018 in the amount of $4,590,706.99. 15 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve an item for disposal that's on our asset listing. It's a public address system, stationary. And the historical cost is $1,255. It was purchased in 1995. 16 BUS, I'm asking that the board approves the non-public school technology initiative program and the non-public school security aid program agreements for the following participating schools: Union Catholic, St. Bartholomew, Christopher Academy, Jewish Community Center, Scotch Plains Baptist Christian Day School, and Wonder Years Academy. And that's it for the business report.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Evan?
I'll move, I have a question, but I'll move.
Okay.
We should do the motion and then do the question.
Second.
Okay, comments or questions?
So for the Potter Architects proposals,
Yes.
so, and I apologize because I was not here for the past couple of meetings, and I was not in our facilities meeting. For the track and turf fields, does that, because based on the facilities report, it talked about an all-inclusive number for doing, potentially including lights while we're tearing up all the fields and the track and everything else, and to be ADA compliant and everything else. Does this architectural proposal include the lights proposal with it?
No, that would be additional. We had a discussion about that in the Finance and Facilities Committee. If we do the track and field and lights, that uses our, almost, the lights estimate came in at 1.4 million. My understanding is that there is possibly funding available from outside the district to cover the lights.
I just wasn't sure if it was included in this architectural thing.
No.
That was the only question I had.
No, but what it does include is, you could just go out and have the architect just work with the company because they're on co-op for the turf field. And that avoids running into the problem like Westfield ran into because they put the project out to bid, and because the bid was contested, it took a year just to get through all the problem. But Potter Architects will make sure that all the proper testing is done and that the proper leveling is done, everything's in proper shape, because it's really a lot of work. Even though we're just putting down new turf, there's a lot to check in the process.
Does that include the ADA compliance piece for, because something was mentioned about being ADA compliant with walkways or something. Is that part of this project?
That's really just installing some concrete near the finish of the project.
That's part of this analysis as well?
Yeah.
Or is it not necessary? We don't need that? For the ADA compliance thing, we don't need Potter to do anything?
Well, he will outline where the concrete should go.
Got it.
Yes.
Other questions about any of the items that Mrs. Saradaki was reviewing in the business portion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that brings us to board policies. Mrs. Winkler.
Thank you. That is never ending. I will move that the board approve second and final reading and adoption of the following board policies. Policy 3431.1 and Policy 4431.1 regarding family leave. Policy 3431.3, New Jersey's Family Leave Insurance Program. Policy 3322 and Policy 4322, staff members' use of personal cellular telephones / other communication devices. Policy and Regulation 3142, non-renewal of non-tenured teaching staff members. Policy and Regulation 4146, non-renewal of non-tenured support staff members. We went over these. I honestly don't remember when at this point, but I'm sure it was October.
In October, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're moving these, second final reading, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, new board business. Other board business, requests to attend workshops. Workshop reports. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we have not met since we went to school board workshops, so I don't know if anybody wants to comment on things that they learned, but I know I attended a number of very interesting sessions and was able to sit in on the State Board of Education meeting, and Garden State also had a very interesting meeting that addressed things like charter schools, and the Commissioner of Education was there, and so I believe everyone found the sessions very useful. I was at Garden State Coalition of Schools last night, and they had 2 assemblymen and 1 senator at the meeting. It was held up in Ridgewood rather than down in the middle of the state where it usually is held, and so the meeting was really just talking with these New Jersey legislators, and the topics, there were a wide variety of topics that came up: special education funding, of course, resources in general, and the new recess law, and at the end, towards the end, they said, well, what are the 3 most important things that you want us to remember? And kind of the summary was resources, no more unfunded mandates, and then a combination of predictability, consistency, and fairness in what they were doing, and making sure they read what they vote on. But the big sort of takeaway that I want to mention to you is that there is a report that just came out called The Path to Progress. It's apparently very short. It was not done by any of the legislators. The governor asked business people and policymakers to develop this report for the state of New Jersey. And it's sort of the big picture view. I haven't seen it. Apparently, Sweeney is going to be going out to all 21 counties to talk about this path to progress for the state of New Jersey. So I think we'll be hearing a lot about it. And you can pull it up online. I was pulling it up after they started talking about it at this meeting. They really hadn't read it, they just had copies themselves that they had been leafing through, so it seems to be hot off the press, so I wanted to mention that to anyone. Okay, approval of the minutes?
One more thing.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Amy and I, along with Dr. Mass, we went to the Union County School Board meeting on November 14th about increasing student achievement. Unfortunately, we didn't learn anything because we're already doing everything that they spoke about. Every slide that went up, I was like, okay, and we do it already. So I was so impressed with, everything that Dr. Mass always shows us about the results of all our student testing and everything. We're already doing it. So unfortunately, I didn't learn anything new, but I did enjoy meeting with, other board members from the other, school districts in our area, and it was nice to be with Dr. Mast and Amy that night at the meeting. So, thank you.
Well, I'm glad Dr. Mass was there to hear it too.
Yes, she was saying, this is it. We did this.
Any other reports? Okay, minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the October minutes?
So moved. Second.
Are there any abstentions?
Yes, for the 11th.
Who was that?
Karen.
Karen. I'm for the 18th.
Mr. Evans is both.
For both.
And were there any corrections that anybody saw?
Mr. Evans.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, we had Amy, and I thought, yes, Dr.
Okay.
Clancy had made the
Okay.
motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we have one final time, if anyone from the public wants to come to the microphone. So seeing no one, we have an opportunity for the good of the order. Anybody has anything they would like to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of attending Monday night's book club led by Dr. Hayes. And it was actually very well attended, and it was a rainy, dreary night, so I wasn't sure what to expect, but there were a lot of people there, and it was a good mix of administrators, teachers, parents from the district, and we broke up into small groups to discuss how to raise an adult. So it was the first of a three-part discussion, and I know the PTAs are advertising it. Everyone in my group really, we couldn't stop talking about it. I know Dr. Hayes was trying to wrap up, and everyone was still talking in their little groups about the book because it was just so informative, and we all had so many opinions about it. So for the public, if you weren't able to make Monday nights, you can still read, catch up, listen on Audible, and attend, the next, which I don't think the date has been set yet.
No,
right?
we'll be setting it, and then we'll be publicizing the next 2 dates.
But it's a great book, so I encourage everyone to take part.
How to raise an adult.
How to raise an adult.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else? Mr. Murray?
I think the Hall of Fame inductions for Scotch Plains is December 11th.
No, I can't verify that right
believe.
off the top of my head.
So just,
As
I
an
know it usually
FYI.
gets overlooked, but,
Okay.
I think we have some,
There's a lot coming up in December, concerts and everything. Anything else that somebody wants to highlight?
Nancy?
Yes.
So I went to see the fall play, which was pretty good considering
It was
that-
amazing. It
Yeah,
was better
they
than
did
pretty
such a
good.
nice job. They really did. Our new director came on kind of late, and so things were crunched. Their time frame was rough, and I know the kids were a little stressed about whether it was going to really come together or not, and whether it would look good, but it did. It was impressive.
Yeah, they did Peter and the
nice.
Starcatcher, and it was amazing. It was just, the casting was exquisite. They did a great job in terms of the casting. The lines were just so funny, and the kids just delivered it so well. It was truly a treat.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
I just have two things. The district has started their Twitter handle, so please be sure to follow SPF Pride on Twitter. And tomorrow, the district is...
SPF Proud.
Proud. SPF Proud, sorry about that. And tomorrow, we're hosting 22 Chinese delegates, and they will be visiting our schools as part of our Kane University partnership. And our visitors are educators and school administrators from China, so we're excited to have them here.
Wonderful, very exciting. And there are already things there on SPF Proud, so.
Well, our art teacher, Barbara Prestridge, worked with them today at Kane University and shared with them our workshop on the puppets.
Ah,
And they were very impressed.
wonderful,
It was
very
wonderful.
nice.
So we're looking forward to seeing them tomorrow. And I have two additional things to add. Congratulations and a shout out to Cooper Heisey, our graduate from last year. He has signed on to be on the football team as he attends Rutgers University next fall. So Rutgers is in need of quarterbacks, I understand, and they're getting a great one because while Cooper was here, he does hold the record for the all-time leading passer in Scotch Plains Fanwood history. So congratulations to Cooper. And also the artwork around the room for November is from McGinn, so kudos to Jessica Cavalieri for her leadership with
Yes,
this
I was going to comment on
amazing work for the students.
our wonderful art. It's beautiful. Okay, anyone else? Then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll see you in December.